Hey there, and welcome to the People Who Help People podcast. This is the spot for HR and people ops pros who are all about building better businesses by putting people first. We chat with founders and experts who've been there, done that, and are generous enough to share what actually works. Thanks for listening, and we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Hello. Today I'm happy to be speaking with Dr. Karen Tilstra, founder and president of The Creativity Effect, an innovation consultancy that helps organizations build cultures of curiosity, courage, and creative problem solving. With a doctorate in innovation and educational psychology, she has designed award winning innovation labs and led thousands of people through transformative design thinking experiences. Welcome to the podcast, Karen.
Thank you. I'm really happy to be here.
I'm really happy to have you as a guest. I enjoyed our conversations leading up to this, and I think this is going to be a fascinating podcast. So Karen,
I'm excited to be here.
I teased your background in that introduction. Could you tell us more? Tell us how you got started, and importantly, how it led up to founding the Creativity Effect.
Well, I think personally it's an exciting journey that very human-centered. I am an educational psychologist, and I found working with people, students, faculty members, I worked at all levels of education and higher ed, parents, everybody seemed to be on a quest to do what they loved, but I kept seeing over and over again, people had hurdles and we can't do this and we can't do that. And I want my son just to just get his nursing degree so he'll always have a job. Or students would come in and say, I don't know what else to do, so I'm just going to do this communication major. And I kept hearing this, and we had interventions, and it seemed like it wasn't working. I had the privilege of hearing DeWitt Jones. He's passed on now, older person who was a National Geographic's photographer forever. And he talked about his passion and how everybody told him, you can never make money as a photographer. But he went into it and became a just renowned photographer and talked about following his creative passion. Told these amazing stories about hippopotamuses and lions and going on the Nile River and in the Amazon, all kinds of stuff. But he looked at the audience, which was very large, and said, how many of you would like to follow your creative passion? Stand up. Everyone stands up. Of course, people jump to their feet and start clapping, and everyone's happy. Then he says, well, how many of you actually are? And then there's this sad silence and people sinking back to their seats. A few people stood standing. But it hit me right then, is that was the gap that I felt, that people want to live out their creative passion or find their creative passion, but they don't feel there's a pathway, or they just can't do it. And so it really, at that moment, I said, I've got to study the creative process, innovation. What is all this world? So I had the privilege of getting a doctorate in, it was under the umbrella of leadership, but it was in creative process, how creativity brings about change, creative leadership, innovation, all that. And I learned a lot. And I since have learned that everybody's creative with leadership potential. No matter what anybody thinks, we're all creative and we all have leadership potential. And that's actually, DeWitt Jones is what actually ignited my thoughts and actions to start studying this field.
I love how you've put your own spin on it. A, you found a gap. B, you said, I'm going to address this gap. Then you got a PhD.
Right.
But over time, you've determined that everyone's creative with leadership potential. I want to hear a little bit more about that.
Okay, well, if you look at children, babies, they're just born creative. The brain is creative with so many neurons and cells and everything. Just if we were to create something creative, we couldn't do any better than the brain. And you just watch children and babies, they're curious and they have wonder and they move. It is the society and culture that actually limits them. Now, in some ways they need to, they'd kill themselves if we didn't watch out for them. But what we do too good a job of that. And people start second guessing themselves. And, well, I can't sing or dance or draw, so I'm not creative. Or I don't have good ideas. We start telling this to ourselves, and pretty soon we settle. And then we forget we were creative. If we learn how to walk, if we learn how to run, if we learn how to laugh, it's all creativity. And we get so used to what society tells us, or now, with all these social media, people look and see, wow, look what they're doing. And I could never do that. Or look at that. I could never do that. When we if we would stop and stop comparing and embrace, have faith in our own personal creativity. We all have innate creativity. If we start having faith in that and stop the negative judgment and start to observe, practice precise observation, and start asking some penetrating questions of where am I creative? What am I good at? What makes me feel alive? We would all start to see I do have creativity. And in some ways, and I've seen this over and over. People say, leaders are born, or you have to really go through all these leadership trainings and da 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 to become a good leader. I don't think so. I think people that are really aligned with their creativity, they have leadership in that area. And we don't really celebrate that for a lot of people. It's like we've got to hold them back, or we have to. A perfect example is my mom was kind of shy, but she was an excellent seamstress and an amazing quilter. When she was quilting, she could lead quilting. She could instruct quilting. She would go to these quilting bees and oftentimes helping people and giving good instruction. And I'd say, wow, mom, sometimes I'd go with her. Wow, mom, you really led that session. Oh, no, 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 not me. She couldn't see it, but it was her gift. Anyway, that's, so I really do believe everybody's creative with leadership potential. We just have to take the time to stop and think about it and celebrate who we are.
That's very beautiful. Pivoting slightly, you've set up some award-winning innovation labs. So you went from studying creativity to recognizing all the ways that we can do things like practicing precise observation to bring out our own creativity, to organizations have asked you, can you set up an innovation lab because our people need to be more innovative? Walk me through that a little bit. Some of the stories, some of your favorite stories.
How it got started, you mean?
Well, how it got started and what you've learned, because you've done. I imagine you've done more than one.
Yeah, we've done
Yeah.
several. It
Okay.
got started by it got started by the first one. I was doing I had the field work of my doctoral program. We were running what I called Cafe U, some creativity experiences at the local Shakespeare Theater. And we invite people and some hospital administrators, a couple hospital administrators from a large hospital system came and saw it and said, wow, this would be awesome in our hospital. And I said, well, this is just an evening event, but I have been studying about creating spaces where people can come in and feel safe and they have permission to bring in their challenges and really go through ways of solving them. I said through the process of a design thinking, human centered uh, kind of process. And so they said, sure, let's try it. Which now looking back, it was pretty amazing because they said, we're just going to do it. And it was a beautiful thing that became a model. So the idea was it was a space that looked very different from the rest of the hospital. We used IKEA stuff. We went to some, like the warehouse, and got some old furniture. We wanted it to look very different from a clinical setting in the hospital. And it had, the space they gave us was an old closed down unit that had big windows, and people said, no one's going to go there. No one goes there anymore. But we created it in a way that everybody was welcome. And we based it on the idea that people care about what they help create and they're responsible when they care. So if a nursing unit had a challenge and they wanted to come in, I trained a whole core of people that would help work in this lab. That was a real privilege. And we would help them through the design thinking process. And the leaders at the top supported it. They gave, in fact, the top leader every Thursday morning, he asked his direct reports, his cabinet, what are you doing to support our innovation lab? And so that top leadership was incredible. And then when different units would come in, everything supported the goals of the organization. It wasn't just random, how can we have more days off? It's that kind of thing. It was really supporting the organization's goals and aspirations. And then when we had a project and finished, and they had some cool idea they came up with, we were able to get them into town halls, and we had created a 4-minute report out where the team would come together and share their story, what brought them to the lab, what their problem was, what they learned, what idea was, what they tried, what their feedback was, and where they are right now. And it was so awesome. We would hear people say, I've worked here for 20 years and I've never been able to be part of a problem solving. I've never had my idea showcased, or I never got to speak in front of. And also, we had, before they went to town hall, we would have what we called a report out panel of 3 or 4 executives come and hear the team's the project and their outcomes, and it was really powerful. So in the first 18 months, we saw an increase of about 26 to 28% of employee engagement, and the lab ran for 12 years, and it the whole idea was, how can we access the talent that's the hospital has throughout the whole system? How can we get the frontline knowledge to be accessed by the top leadership? Because oftentimes, the closer you are to the top, the farther you are from the truth. How can we bridge that information and the information flows? How can we activate people to solve problems that they're experiencing that the leadership might not know anything about, that they can actually serve the hospital better? And it really took off. And actually, what happened is people started coming from all over. We had people coming from other hospital systems from different parts of the United States. We had someone from Australia, a couple of people from Australia, a couple of people from Japan, Europe, several from Germany. It became a really exciting, magical place. But we kept to a couple things. We had to operate outside the communication structure line of hierarchy. That people working a project had permission to go around and get rapid conversations. So we called that the meat grinder, not MEAT, but MEET. And it was 2 or 3 minute conversations that were standing just so we could keep things moving. But we had so many people. We had pictures along the halls of every project that came in, every team that came in. And we heard that people would come and just look at the pictures and say, wow, this is amazing. How is this possible? And so while we're working in we've worked in 2 or 3 hospital systems, 2 or 3 universities, worked with government agencies, pro sports. That's what I loved. I learned a lot about pro sports. We're helping a pro sports team build a lab. The first in basketball.
Cool. You said one quote, I want to capture it. People care about what they help create, and I didn't hear the rest of it.
They're responsible when they care. We saw that over and over again. It kind of flies in the face of hierarchy, because hierarchy is really a way to organize and be very efficient. But we went on the mantra that efficiency will follow if we're effective. Effectiveness first. Be effective, and then you can have efficiency feed the effectiveness. But if you're focusing on efficiency first, oftentimes you just are going to lose people. They're going to become disengaged. That they're going to say this just isn't working for us. But innovation's all about agile progress over perfection. But now there are things in healthcare I want to say that you have to have a strict protocol. Brain surgery, some of these, you know what I'm talking about. But we also said, let's always keep a mind open for next practice. We have best practice. That's a big thing in healthcare, is getting to the best practice. But keep a mind open for what's the next practice, because things are moving. Things do move.
I like that idea. I like the next practice. All right, I'm going to pivot you a little bit.
Okay.
1, congratulations on building an award-winning lab and running it for 12 years. 2, it was so popular, people came from Japan and Australia to attend. 3, you drove engagement 20% within the first 18 months. That's phenomenal.
28%. Yeah.
28%. 28%.
You know what? It actually isn't so phenomenal. It's just common sense. Let people do their jobs, let them have a voice, let them feel that they're visible, and people engage. People want to be seen and heard, and people want to cooperate and collaborate. But sometimes the systems just block all that, and then I just see people's hearts getting broken. They start jobs excited, and then pretty soon the hierarchy can wear them down. I'm not saying we can't have hierarchy, but we have to have intelligent hierarchy.
I agree. And what I like is you started your first lab when you're in your PhD program, and then it turned into a full-fledged effort. You got the kind of stamp of validation of 12 years in a major hospital system, people traveling from all over the world, etc. You and I were riffing before about I think you've probably planted 1,000 seeds that are now growing into trees of innovation elsewhere in the world, some you don't even know about, right? That people that attended your workshops have gone on to other jobs or other health systems or back to other parts of the world, and they're taking what they learned in your innovation lab and spreading that powerful process of unlocking people's creativity, but in the the vein of just improving your job or just improving how we all work together. So I promise to pivot. Here's the pivot. You wrote a book recently. Tell me about that book and tell me how it supports your business, how it supports Creativity Effect. That
I
looks
love
like a long title. Oh my gosh.
it is a long title, and I had to work to memorize it. 101 activities to ignite collaboration, boost creativity, and fuel innovation. Um,
Okay.
okay, so this book came about from a lot of it is well, most of what we do is original content. Most of this book is original content. Some of it is just out there in the public domain. Some is, and we gave credit where we tried to give credit wherever we could. Um, okay, so when I started working in innovation and working with teams, taking them through innovative process, design thinking processes, innovative practice, I started realizing people are like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Am I going to get fired? I can't do that. I can't be dishonest. So I started in my mind imagining this aisle of innovation that people had to get to. And to get to the aisle, they had to cross this scary moat that had scary things in it that would bite them or get them fired or whatever. And so I started thinking we needed bridges to get to innovation aisle. And so I started studying about how to really well, let me say it like this: to innovate and to really be creative, we got to get out of our head of the past, because we basically most of our thoughts are driven from the past. And so I thought about how can we get people into a place where they're willing to step outside themselves. And we're not asking them to do something crazy. We weren't asking them to do cartwheels around the room or things like that, but just different activities that I call liberating engagements that actually take a moment for people to experience something that gets them connected to people, where they have to laugh, where they have to do something they're not normally doing. An example would be, I'll just open the book here to something. Oh, this is not original to us, but we tried to find who started it, but we couldn't. This is called 30 Circles, and some people know about this. This we just give them a sheet of paper and say you have about a minute and draw a different design in each circle in a minute. Go, and then they're talking or going and doing. Some people get it, some people don't, but it now we talk about it. So I'm big in with about reflection too. Without reflection there really is no learning. So we'd say, okay, now what was going on in your mind during that time? What were you telling yourself that was helping you, or what were you telling yourself that was hurting you? How can we take this experience and what we learned here and apply it to our problem solving, our project we're going to be working on, or the team we want to develop? We've got all kinds of different things. We also put some extra things that we have, like we have 105, I think, but also how to do presentations, how to run a design thinking crash course, how to, uh, here's another one we call the woohoo cheer. And when we're working on a long project where the team has multiple days they're meeting with us, or multiple sessions, we help them develop a cheer, like yay clap or woo snap. And we actually start driving that. So whenever someone does something that inspires someone in the team, they do that cheer. Sounds really corny, but if we set it up right, they start doing it. And we've heard from teams later, oh, we're still doing that cheer when someone says something that inspires us or someone does something cool. And it's just to get people out of their corporate mindsets or their work mindset. And they're just fun, rapid cycle things that are always followed with a reflection. What did this mean? How did this feel? What did you learn from that that can help you become a team member or a better collaborator or a better innovator? And we've done a lot of study on it and we get a lot of good feedback. Oftentimes people say, I'm kind of shy to do that. And then we say, you don't have to participate, but we do actually set some very clear standards, expectations. If you're going to really be involved in a design thinking, innovative project, there are things you have to commit to. Otherwise, it's just your shoulders are crossed, you're on your phone, or like, whoop-de-doo, why are we doing this?
Sure.
Anyway.
Mandatory fun. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we say if anybody if we have any mandates, anyone comes in there that's mandated in there, it's like, okay, we acknowledge it. We say, we know you didn't want to be here. So how can we make it better for you? So we always acknowledge that because
Okay.
I really hate that if someone's in there like, okay, I was forced to be here.
So Karen, back to the book just for a second.
Yep. Yep.
So, how does it help your business in terms of um, do people engage you because they saw the book? Do people get the book after they've gone to a workshop, or
Yeah.
something else altogether? Because
Well,
others out there might be thinking, "Ooh, maybe I should put together a book of activities that I have
yeah,
found helpful."
they should. That'd be awesome. People should do that. Okay, most of the time people get this book after we've been in a workshop. But then I was just hearing some leader was telling me the other day, he said, Karen, we went through a workshop with his team. He said, I love that book. I've ordered a whole bunch of them. I'm giving it to everybody, and I'm telling everybody they should get this book and use it with their teams because there's so many different ideas. We had a couple faculty members at a university tell us that they start a couple of their classes with an activity in this book, and they've required their students to get the book and to learn at least 5 of them that they can use. And there's so many other activities than just what we have here. I think people, what I've learned, want to connect. They want to have fun. They want to learn. They want to do good work. I don't think anybody is trying to do poor work, but I think people don't always know how to do that. So that's what I'm passionate about, helping people create pathways that lead to good work.
It sounds like it's been a passion of yours. And through your innovation labs, through conducting many workshops, through the many smiles on the many faces I saw on the pictures on, I think it's your LinkedIn,
Oh,
you know
yeah.
how to do this. You know how to do this, and you do this well. Okay, one more question because you and I could talk for a long time, but I try
Yes.
to limit this to about 25 minutes. So this is my last question.
Okay.
Um,
I'll
I,
try to
I,
keep it short.
I titled this podcast Innovation in the Age of AI. So now that AI has arrived on the scene and we see these amazing videos that people can create using AI,
Yeah.
are people being more innovative in the age of AI? Or what part does AI play in helping people be more innovative? What do you think?
Well, I think it can support you. I think that AI will revert to the commons. And what I mean by that is if you have a great idea, develop that idea, develop it and fly it as high as you can, get feedback on it, get responses from people, and then ask AI, is this a good idea in your mind? Well, how might it be better? Where are the weak spots? What am I missing? That kind of thing. I have never found AI to be helpful to say, hey, I've got a project I got to work on or a workshop. Give me ideas. The ideas, when it's done, it we actually my team has and I have laughed because it's like they revert to such common, plain things. Nothing can replace the human mind, and I say use AI as a supplement. Have your own ideas first. Flesh out your own idea first. Work on it. Sweat with it. Wrestle with it. Then ask AI, and don't agree with it necessarily. Argue with AI because remember, AI is going to always. To me, it's like it just goes to the common. Uh, it's and plus, it doesn't have a personality that I can tell. I mean, it's if you write something creative. I've tried this experiment, writing something kind of that I thought was creative. I run it through AI, and it comes back so mundane or so goofy, so over the top. It's like, stop. Trust your brain first. Develop your idea first. Get feedback on your idea. Then ask AI where the weak spots are or what's missing. Or to me, what's missing is such a powerful question for AI. Now, there are things that AI can really help you with, like um, I would the other day my son was talking to me and I went to AI. I asked about the what is the best rated allergy medicine and what do the allergy medicines do? What is the outcomes for allergy medicines? That's what it was. And it was helpful, but it was just information. But if you're trying to be creative, trust yourself first. That's my message. I don't know if
I
that
like that. No, I
resonates.
love that message. It's a good message because I just read yesterday how AI isn't going to replace us. It's going to amplify what we do, or it's going to augment what we do. Right? Not that that's a new concept, but there's a growing realization that we're past the scary part of, oh my gosh, it's going to take my job. No, it's going to take the mundane parts of your job. But one of the things
Which is good.
it cannot do well, is replace the human brain when it comes to creativity. And I like what you said there. Trust your brain, develop your idea, seek feedback, and then Ask
Yeah.
AI what's missing. And don't accept the first answer, argue with it.
And also, you can ask AI to, because AI sometimes is so cheerful and positive. Like, that's a great question. Just say, be brutal with me. You don't have to be polite. Just tell it. Say, I don't need you to be polite. I want you to be brutally honest. And then it'll apologize. It'll apologize for being brutally honest. At least I found that with ChatGTP. But I'm kind of excited about AI, how we can use it to enhance.
Yes, I agree. We should use it to enhance. So, on that note, Karen, I've really enjoyed this conversation. As I mentioned, I could go on and on. However, to keep this to a reasonable length, I think we're going to wrap up now. So, if somebody who's listening to this heard something that they want to follow up on, what's the best way to either get in contact with you or learn more about the creativity effect?
Well, I am on all the places. Karen Tilstra. You can contact me through my Facebook, just Karen Tilstra. You can email me at Karen@creativityeffect.com. You could get me through LinkedIn. Sometimes people message me through LinkedIn, so I try to look there every so often. I'm on Amazon with the one-on-one activities, and also I have this other book, The Death Line, but it's being re-edited because the editing was a little bit off. Anyway, so yeah, I'm on Facebook, on LinkedIn, Karen Tilstra, but also if you want to email me, Karen@creativityeffect.com.
Okay. Sounds like the best way to reach you is to email you. You don't look at LinkedIn as much, or find you on Facebook. And the two books that you mentioned, the one with the very long title, that one, and the Death Line, that's going to be a new edition coming out soon. I'll put those titles in the summary underneath this podcast.
Okay, awesome. Well, this has been so fun. I love talking about how to help people imagine their own creativity more, because we're all creative with leadership potential. We have to remember that.
We will remember that. Karen, thank you so much. And
Oh, thank you. It was Craig. It's been really fun getting to know you, and I hope we continue the conversation.
likewise, I'm sure we will. All right. Take care.
Okay, bye bye.